desperate for a win. It's the Bomber Blue against the Double Blue on Adidas Friday Night Football. Hey folks, once again, James Duthie along with Matt Dunnigan and Chris Schultz. Thanks for starting the weekend off right with Adidas Friday Night Football. And it's pretty simple for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now. They would need to win their last two games and hope Edmonton loses one of its last two. Saskatchewan also a factor, but they're pretty much out of it, guys, so sorry about that. Anyway, as for the Bombers, to do that, they have to play a lot better than last week when the Argos beat them. Kerwin Bell got absolutely killed by a terrific Toronto defense, Matt.
Yeah, they sure did. They got after him the whole game, James, and pressured him, making him throw some poor passes, making him throw without good decisions, and just constantly battering that quarterback. We know that Kerwin Bell does not have mobility, so look for them to try to take away the run early in this game so they can pin the ears back. But this game is going to be won in the trenches. I look for the Winnipeg offensive line with McNeil and Vancona, 2X of my teammates, to take some pride out of this. Look at those films, correct their mistakes, and try to bow their neck to try to stop this defensive line. But I don't think they're going to be able to get it done. I think that we're going to see once again the defensive line from Toronto dominate in this football game.
Now, the Bombers won the second half last week, but they got absolutely destroyed in the first half. What do they have to do differently tonight, Chris?
You know, it gets down to almost the most simple thing in football. They have to protect their quarterback, they have to protect the football, and they have to pull together as a team. Kerwin Bell got really beat up last week. 13 hits, and he had a mild concussion in that game. Most quarterbacks would have packed it in and been on the sidelines. He didn't. The 5 turnovers in the second quarter, that was the entire game. For all intents and purposes, that game was over at halftime. But really, this football team still has to get it together. With a win tonight and a possible playoff with the Montreal Alouettes, with the Alouette team that may rest some of its key performers depending on what happens on Sunday, hey, there is still hope for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. After all this time, they still have an opportunity, but James, they have to pull it together right now, tonight.
And never before have all 4 teams from the East made it to the CFL playoffs. It is possible if the Bombers overtake Edmonton and Saskatchewan and qualify in the crossover in the West. Kerwin Bell needs some help. Starts with the big guys up front. Needs to keep that Argo defense off his back. Kickoff coming up, folks.
The Argos have third place in the bag in 2 weeks to get the offense on track and ready for a shot at winning in the playoffs. Lovely night for it in Winnipeg with 2 games to go. The Bombers still have a shot at saving the season. Tonight is the Bombers' last homestand of the century.
The Winnipeg Blue Bombers can cross over, but to do so, they have to beat the Edmonton Eskimos outright, which means they have to win both games to finish the season starting tonight.
Argos rookie head coach Jim Barker has learned a lot in his first CFL season. After a tough 0-2 start, Barker has a chance to finish 2 wins above 500.
Dave Ritchie has a team that is down after a loss to the Argos a week ago, that they got beat up physically. He has 4 or 5 players that are playing with injuries tonight. Their backs are against the wall. They have to win 2 in a row. Not too much to ask for Dave Ritchie.
You can bring out all the cliches for the Bombers in this one tonight. It has been a tough season in Winnipeg again. Ready for the Argonaut kickoff, and Prefontaine looks like he's bundled up. It's not all that cold out there. 4 degrees.
No, for this time of year in Winnipeg, it's very warm, so that'll probably loosen up by the time this game gets going.
Bombers have a lot on the line. The Argos are just trying to get set for the playoffs, but Winnipeg has everything riding on the outcome here tonight. Underway at Winnipeg Stadium, a short kickoff, and the Bombers have possession of the football with outstanding field position. The Argos didn't fool anyone with that.
Huge heads-up play by Trevor Lucky from the University of Saskatchewan, the rookie on special teams. A huge heads-up play, because usually the guys on the front line, and Trevor was one of those guys, turn around to find their block. The Argos going with the onside kick early, but Trevor Lucky picks up the football and gives the Argos great field position.
Tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Midas. Car care the way it should be. Winnipeg quarterback Kerwin Bell stands seconds in yards passing with over 4,100, but he is also second in interceptions with 18. Bell will put it up in the first offensive play, and he's on the money. Williams makes the catch. His 13th since coming over. Here's the way they line up with Stiegel missing from action. McCullough will face a little pressure tonight, and up front the Bombers have been a little shaky, so they're going to have to win this battle in the trenches tonight.
Especially inside. Jay McNeil, Dave Van Conant, Mike Mihalik have to have a big game, the biggest of the season, if they expect to win against Jermaine Haley and the guys in the middle, Michael O'Shea and Demetrius Matson.
12 yards for Nigel Williams. He's flanked to the near side, and Bell looks in his direction again. Short of the first down, but he does have a 6-yard gain.
Well, they were tough on D. They have been all year. Demetrius Matson, Jermaine Haley, and Michael O'Shea are the heart and soul of that defense, and they're pretty good in the secondary as well with the two Smiths on the corner, Adrian and Donald. Byron Capers in the lineup at halfback. Tonius Bonner, they feel, may be one of the best cover guys at the other halfback in the league.
Michael O'Shea having another outstanding season. He might be the best Argonaut on either side of the football. Dylan McCullough, running with much more authority, has the first down. Glenn, last week he averaged .7 yards a carry.
Well, Dylan McCullough on the season has had his 3 worst football games against the Toronto Argonauts. In 3 games against the Argos, Dylan McCullough is averaging just 26 yards on the ground. Now, it's tough for even the great teams to run against the Argo defense, but in order for Winnipeg to establish some consistency offensively, they got to get Dylan McCullough going against this Argo defense.
Great beginning for the Bombers, who got the short kickoff and have marched deep into Toronto territory. Bell misses for the first time as he was looking for Williams again. A little miscommunication there.
Nigel Williams running his pattern against the zone defense. Adrian Smith's going to make it look like he's going deep and then come off his coverage and jump Nigel Williams. Kind of fooled Kerwin Bell a little bit because he had lots of time to throw the football. Adrian Smith, by his alignment, made it look like he was going deep and then snuck up there.
Bell threw for 240 yards last week. He looks at 2nd and 10 here. They won't get it away. They wrap him up for the first time. Marker down far side of the field.
Fred Perry came off the edge, and you know what? He came off the edge when the Bombers knew he was coming and they couldn't stop him. Kerwin Bell saw what they were going to do defensively. He called in Dylan McCullough to get some blocking help.
Winnipeg, no end, penalties decline, 3rd down.
You see, they're going to call in Dylan McCullough. Kerwin Bell sees the blitz coming, so he's going to call McCullough into the lineup. He wants him to come in and help block on Fred Perry coming off the edge, but McCullough doesn't see him. Perry, with great speed, gets there. Even though he had blocking help, Kerwin Bell goes down to the turf.
Hot start and a promising drive ends with a field goal try for Troy Westwood. Longest on the season, 53. He's definitely within range. This from 37 yards. Bingo, the Bombers score first. It's Adidas Friday Night Football, live from Winnipeg.
Adidas Friday Night Football is brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport. Castrol GTX, drive hard. And by Molson Canadian. Here's where we get Canadian.
The Argos hand the ball to Jay Barker again, hoping he'll get control of an offense that has been on and off much of the season. On first down, Ryan Terry is wrapped up in a hurry. Starting offense for the Argos for Midas. Barker welcomes Tony Burse back to the backfield along with Ryan Terry. It's a nice 1-2 punch. Up front, Craig Hendrickson is back in Winnipeg. First start against his old team in his old ballpark. No gain on the play. Argos 2nd and 10. Barker from the shotgun. We're tied. And an open target. They couldn't connect. Tyrone Brown missed by a foot or so.
Tyrone Brown went out there and decided he was going to test Brandon Hamilton, who's in his first game after coming back from a concussion that he suffered 2 weeks ago. They're going to go and test Brandon Hamilton and see if he can run, and he's thinking clearly. Brandon Hamilton was beat by a couple of steps, and Barker just missed him by about a yard.
Noel Prefontaine is in. He's the #1 punter in Canadian football, averaging 47.5 yards per punt. And Gordon is deep for Winnipeg, back at his 25. Great kick. Here's Robert Gordon. Straight up the middle. 11 on the return, 47 on the punts. 1st and 10 Blue Bombers when we return to Winnipeg. Welcome back. Here's what the Blue Bombers have to do to win this one tonight.
Well, when you take a look at this, it's pretty simple. Turnovers, turnovers, turnovers. They got to create some on defense. 7th in the league in interceptions. They can't give the football away. 63 times this year they've done it in just 16 games. They got to win that giveaway, takeaway category. -31 is going to win you nothing.
Kerwin Bell has a completion short of the first down. Looks like a gain of about 5 yards. Bell's had a nice start. Nigel Williams has been his favored target thus far.
Well, Kerwin Bell has to protect the football because the Bombers this season, when they've got in trouble, it's because they're turning the football over way too much. Look at this category. 11 losses. They give it away 5 times in those games. And the 5 wins, they drop that to around 2 per game. It's quite simple. Protect the football.
2nd and 5. Robert Gordon flanks to the near side. Bell will put it up again. Into traffic. G-Roy Simon has the catch and lost his hat. He's in for Stiegel.
Talk about big shoes to fill. G-Roy Simon goes into the lineup for Milt Stiegel, #2 receiver in the CFL. Stiegel is out for the rest of the season with a 3rd-degree separation of his shoulder. So they were going to look now to G-Roy Simon to fill in that spot at the slot back, and they need him to play way bigger than he has this season. He has to become a veteran in a hurry.
Simon's first catch goes for a 1st down. Bombers at the 50. That's 2 in a row. Short of the 1st down by about 5 yards. But the Bombers are moving the ball, and this offense is looking a lot more effective than it did last week in Toronto.
Well, G-Roy Simon recognized his own defense, and he's just going to turn up and create a target for Kerwin Bell. And, you know, part of the reasons I say that he has to step up is not simply because he's replacing Milt Stiegel, but also because Kerwin Bell will look to the inside guys more than he'll look to the outside guys. So with Stiegel on the sideline and playing close, they got to go to those inside guys, and G-Roy Simon will be it.
2nd and 5, and they're stopped short of the 1st down. Good defensive coverage on Dylan McCullough. So it's a gain of 4.
It's a long yard.
It is a long yard. 3rd and 1.
And I don't think Dave Ritchie at this point will gamble. He's going to send on his punting unit because last week in Toronto in the first half, they lost the battle for field position early. And it turned into a lot of points against Dave Ritchie. He gambled on a 3rd down last week and didn't get it. The Argos turned it into points. He's not going to take those gambles here tonight. He's going to punt this one and win that battle.
Yeah, this is a positive start for the Bombers tonight. Only 3 points on the board, but they've controlled the football a bit, and they're going to force the Argos deep here with any kind of coverage on this Cameron punt. Here's the pinball, Mike Clemens, starting at the 10. Little stutter step there, and he's surrounded. 3 on the return, 40 on the punt. Harold Nash and Wade Miller leading the tacklers for the Bombers. How close was the block here? Well, Cameron got it away. Welcome back to Winnipeg. A great night to be a sideline guy at Winnipeg Stadium. Here's Greg Musselman.
All right, thanks, John. Yeah, just a beautiful night here at Winnipeg Stadium. Over 26,000 tickets sold for the game. There's been a lot in the news about the Bombers' financial problems, but the fans here in Winnipeg saying they still want Bomber football. Back upstairs.
Some early movements, and a flag goes down.
Well, just to expand on what Greg said, You think about Saskatchewan Roughriders and Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the heart of the Canadian Football League, really, when you're talking about the fans. And to think that these two teams are now in financial trouble and they're not getting the attendance out, it's just hard to believe because they're diehards in the prairies.
Well, they are, but these two franchises haven't had terrific success on the football field for the last couple of seasons. And winning really helps sell tickets.
Winnipeg, number 72, first down repeated.
You know what? And I think in the prairies, even the chance to win.
Absolutely. You just have to be hovering around that 500 mark. And between these two teams, they're not at 500.
That's right.
Penalty is against the Blue Bombers. 1st and 5, Toronto. Andre Kerwin made the first catch for Toronto. Barker at the controls. Ideal situation here. 1st and short.
Johnny, I don't think Jay Barker has enough guys on the field, or he doesn't have the right alignment. He wants to check everything out. Okay, now he's got it set. He can audible up there.
Tony Burse back in the lineup. He ran into Benny Goods.
The best two players on the Bomber defense happen to play in their front 7. It's Joe Fleming and Maurice Kelly. They may be the best two players on the team. It has been a troubled year in the secondary. There's been a lot of changes in the secondary, and there's one tonight at the free safety position. Tom Europe re-injured that ankle last week. Eric Johnson starts at free safety.
Coach Ritchie has a few more headaches with a lot of bumps and bruises on this football team, too. 2nd and 5, Argos. Barker near side has Kerwin, and he'll have the first down. Andre Kerwin. 54 catches, 598 yards coming in.
This Bomber defense is playing inspired football right now, and in fact, after that play, there were 2 Argo offensive linemen. I believe it was Chad Folk and Jude St. John that got up very slowly. They're getting after right now in the Winnipeg defense. They really have to. Their backs are against the wall.
Argos have a first down out across the 25 at the 26. Finally, the offensive line is together in Toronto. Ryan Terry with a football, and Benny Goods met him again, or at least met him that time. Gain is less than 2.
For the Argos to win this football game, they have to do what they did last week, and that's play on the short field. You see that stat, 8 possessions. They started midfield or better. Consistency on offense. Burst should help them. He's back in the lineup, and keep the intensity. This is a team that has made the playoffs already, cannot improve their position. And they have to play here in Winnipeg. They got to keep the intensity up.
2nd down and long. Barker missed. Looking for Tyrone Brown. And the receiver turned the other way, so
Tyrone Brown has been in behind coverage a couple of times, and Barker just hasn't been on the mark so far here this evening, because Tyrone Brown took off running, got in behind Eddie Thomas a little bit, but Thomas was playing the football. And he did touch that just barely, just enough to keep it away from Tyrone Brown.
Noel Prefontaine steps in again at his 12-yard line. Gordon is deep for Winnipeg. Back near his 35. He's ready for Halloween. He looks like the Lone Ranger.
Kick like Tonto.
Here's Gordon. And there's nowhere to run. Flag is down back near the line of scrimmage. 42 on the punt, little on the return.
Robert Gordon contributing on special teams. He has also been the most consistent Winnipeg receiver. When you take Milt Stiegel on the inside and Robert Gordon, that's something to build on.
Holding. Winnipeg, number 4, first down.
He's really on pace. If Robert Gordon would have finished and played all 18 games of the season, he would have had a 1,200-yard season.
He's still got a shot at 1,000 at 828.
That's right. He's going to be very close to 1,000. On pace for about 950. So if he has the one big game, he'll put himself over 1,000. But he missed a couple. He's not played the whole season due to injury, and because of that, he's not having the big number season.
3 receivers to the near side for a Bomber 1st and 10. Bell is trapped back there, and he escapes. Found a receiver short of the first down. Simon made the catch. Heads up play by Kerwin Bell. He doesn't show that kind of speed very often.
Well, he got out of there and he bought himself some time when he peeled back, and that's when offensive linemen start to set up guys and start to knock them off. You see Mike Mihalik taking a shot there. This Argo defense punishes. Watch Martavius Houston come up and put the hit on G-Roy Simon. Watch this hit. I mean, that pushed Simon about 3 yards back.
2nd down and 4. Dylan McCullough. Nice run up to the 50. 13 yards from McCullough. That's more than he got all last week against this Argo defense.
Yeah, he's probably been hearing about it all week, that the Argos are a team that he really struggles against. We talked about the 6 yards all game last week. Well, he knows that in the back of his mind. He wants to come here in front of a big crowd here in Winnipeg, show him that he can be the guy for not only this year and the rest of the season, but also into the future.
McCullough did get the game-winning touchdown a couple of weeks ago against the Alouettes in an upset win by Winnipeg. Kerwin Bell, hot hand. He has Nigel Williams again. Capers made the tackle.
A lot of people might be wondering why the Kerwin Bell continues to go to the sideline to Nigel Williams, because he's taking what the Toronto defense is giving him. When you play a zone defense, what Toronto is playing right now, with three deep defensive backs in the coverage, the open area, the weakness in that zone is to the sideline called the flat area. That's where Kerwin Bell has to throw the football, because that's where the read is taking him.
Another penalty marker is down, and the discussion continues. Neither coach appears to know what the infraction
Major
is
foul.
about.
Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg, number 66. Be 1st down repeated.
Well, that's a little dumb.
Mike Mihalik got nailed there.
You killed a drive, and I didn't see too much happening down there.
Well, that'll
cost Mihalik.
Yeah, I was going to say, it'll not only cost him the yardage, it'll also cost him a little bit of cash, because that is Dave Ritchie's philosophy. You get a bad penalty after the whistle, or for unnecessary roughness, you get fined.
Basically because it's unnecessary.
Hence the name.
1st and 25. The Bombers forced back to the 33. Costly, and this one is batted down at the line.
This is Mike Mihalik right here. We'll just take a look, a play ago. Right in here, excuse me. There's Mike Mihalik. And it looked like he got his hands up in the face of Brechterfield. When you get your hands up in the face, that's when you're going to get called for.
2nd and 25. Bombers now back at the 33, and the drop play is going nowhere. So from good field position,
yeah,
and in the penalty, and now the Bombers are giving it away to the Argonauts here, who will get decent field position to begin their next drive.
Yeah, and once you have that 1st down pass knocked down on 2nd down, you know, you might as well run the draw. It's called cutting your losses, punting the football. You know, what you don't want to do is turn it over. We talked about the turnover problem that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have had. When you are a minus 31, that's a long season. You're just not protecting the football, and they've given it away 63 times.
Interceptions, fumbles, and on downs. It has not been pretty for the Bombers, and last week they had turnover problems too, and that cost them the lead of the football game. A little more heat on Walker, but he hammers this one all the way down to the 25-yard line. Here's Mike Clemens, and wrapped up after about a 2-yard return. A 56-yard punt by Bob Cameron. And special teams leader Wade Miller leads the way for the Bombers here and runs down the pinball.
My car is a lot easier to maintain than these ostriches.
Maintenance is important if it's your hair or your car.
You definitely cannot trust an ostrich.
Cars are like old hockey players. They need lots of maintenance. They break down a lot.
I go to Al's place 3 times a year.
Hi, I'm Al.
He comes to my place whenever he needs a meatball.
Get your car or truck ready for winter with the Midas Winter Maintenance Special. It's complete, it's thorough, and it's all just $28.88. And look for new Midas Gold batteries with a 72-month warranty.
We missed the play, folks, and the Bombers are celebrating. The Argonauts have turned it over at the 20-yard line.
It was a little hitch pass out to Tyrone Brown. Jay Barker delivers the pass. Good pursuit by the Winnipeg defense. The ball comes out, and Maurice Kelly comes up with it.
So the turnover goes the way of the Bombers as Tyrone Brown couldn't hang on.
Well, this is a chance for Winnipeg to capitalize and come away with the major. You really want to put it to the defense now when you got the big turnover in their end. It's called sudden change. You want to come away with the major.
Bombers are set up at the Argonaut 25. Maurice Kelly found a loose ball. Dylan McCullough finds a little daylight.
He leads the team in tackles for losses, has a couple interceptions, has 5 sacks on the season, had a key fumble recovery against the Montreal Alouettes a couple of weeks ago, and comes up with a big play early in this one for the Bombers. Maurice Kelly.
By this time last week, the Bombers had already turned it over a couple of times. And right now, Winnipeg has an opportunity to get to the end zone. 2nd and 5. Bell looks under the cover and has Robert Gordon.
Robert Gordon was the second guy that Kerwin Bell looked at. The first one was Deland McCullough. When Deland McCullough was covered well by Martavius Houston, he went to the second guy on the read, which was Robert Gordon. And Gordon has to really battle that football to hang on to it. But he stuck with it, comes up with a huge first down in front of Adrian Smith.
6 yards to gain. And the Bombers are first down. Dylan McCullough grabbed from behind after a gain of a couple. Mike O'Shea was there.
Jim Barker feels that Michael O'Shea is their outstanding player, defensive player of the year, outstanding Canadian, and if you had any other awards, to give it to him too. Watch the hit he puts on Deland McCullough. He flies to this football, fills the lane, and throws McCullough to the turf. I mean, that's playing middle linebacker right there. That's how you do it. He's got a bit of a wrap on his leg. He's also one of those guys that plays hurt.
The gain limited to 1. 2nd and 9. Here's the heat. And Kerwin is going down. Wrapped up. Kerwin Bell. Kelly Wiltshire for a loss of 14.
Well, you know what? Kelly Wiltshire gets him back there, but Michael O'Shea makes the play.
Final play of the opening quarter. Bombers will get a chance to add a field goal when we return.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by Toyota Canada and its dealers.
Well, not a bad start for the Bombers, but the same thing that has plagued them all season long. You get an opportunity like that when you get a turnover and you get the ball deep in territory. You got to punch it in for a touchdown, guys. Looks like they'll have to settle for a field goal again. But was it really a turnover? Let us have a look at that play one more time. Doesn't look like, to me, Matt Dunnigan, that Tyrone Brown really has possession of this ball long enough.
Yeah, it is suspect. But, you know, Winnipeg's got to take advantage of those opportunities because the way they're playing offensively, it looks like they're in disarray and they look like a 5-11 football team. They got Delon McCullough having to be brought in by the quarterback to pick up the blitz. He should be recognizing that, and they don't pick it up properly. And then on the backside, Kerwin Bell has to go front side to backside, and then you got Nigel Williams on the backside dogging it, not getting into his route, and Kerwin throws high. This is why they're 5-11 right now, Chris.
Well, I see different things that you do. I see a Winnipeg Blue Bomber team that was alert on the opening play to recover the kickoff. I see Tyrone Rogers, Good, and Fleming playing a much better line of scrimmage game, and I see at least some chemistry with Nigel Williams. Here's the issue. The secondary has given up almost 2 big plays at the intermediate to long distance. They have to adjust their secondary or Toronto's going to make a big play, James.
You guys not getting along?
Well, we're fine. I just disagree with what
that
you
D-line
said.
from Toronto is dominating.
Second quarter, always the key for the Bombers. Last week they were in it. They were outscored 24-3 in the second quarter. It's been their worst quarter all season long. Let's send you back to Winnipeg.
Ready for a Bomber field goal try to begin the second quarter at Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, they're trying for a field goal because Michael O'Shea made back-to-back plays in the Argo defense. This is why. I mean, on that screen, Kerwin Bell in the last play wanted to throw screen. Michael O'Shea was coming on the blitz. He recognized it, put on the brakes, and Boyko was the guy that was supposed to get the screen. See O'Shea's there. Kerwin Bell can't throw it over there. He takes the sack, and Winnipeg has to kick the field goal. That's the little things that Michael O'Shea does. Recognizes the offense in a hurry and reacts quickly.
Westwood is ready. Cameron will put it down. Knuckleball. It's 4-0 Bombers, so a couple of costly miscues there hurt the Bombers. They should have had a 6-point lead, and they'll settle for a 4-point advantage now.
Well, you know, we'll take a look. Bob Cameron is the holder, and we can take another look and see how the hold was, because that was just an ugly kick from Troy Westwood. The hold looked fine. You want a little bit of slant to the football, back towards the holder. It looked like Troy Westwood just jumped at it. He was 9 of his last 10, so he's been hot. He had a bit of a slump in the middle of the season where he went 4 of 11 for 3 games in a row in the middle of the season, but he's been coming on. That was just poorly kicked. He looked like he jumped at it and just knuckleballed that one. But you're right, John. I mean, this is an opportunity for Winnipeg to jump ahead with the turnovers and the sudden change, the great field position. And
yeah, 1 point out of the turnovers.
Yeah.
So that can come back to hurt you. Argos trailing 4-0. First down at the 35. Jay Barker trying to get something going, and not on this sequence so far. Benny Goods definitely helping out on that play and celebrating down there. Goods has had a hot start for the blue and gold.
Benny Goods has come to play, no question about that.
First quarter stats are brought to you by Castrol GTX. Drive hard.
Well, this is the good thing. I mean, that's great if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers or the Winnipeg Blue Bomber fans. You're dominating. You're controlling the football. The bad news is if you're a Bomber fan, you only got 4 points to show for it.
Mazzani couldn't hang on. Coverage by Maurice Kelly. And it's 2-0 for the Argos.
Well, Benny Goods having a good first half for the Bomber defense up front, and Brandon Hamilton broke up on that pass and broke it up. Didn't allow Paul Mazzani to come up with it. So this defense is playing inspired football right now in Winnipeg. It's been a quiet year for Benny Goods. 4 sacks on the season. That's a guy that in his career averages 8. Now he's also had some injury problems.
Gordon is back. Prefontaine ready to punt from his own 17. No, it's not that cold out there. That was high. Prefontaine gets it away. Gordon one-hands it and brings it down. And then he's wrapped up almost immediately. Wayne Shaw leading the Argo tacklers downfield. The return just 3. The punt traveled 46. It's Adidas Friday Night Football from Winnipeg. Delon McCullough off to a great start for the Bombers, on pace for 100 yards tonight. Looking back till last week he had 6 yards all game long.
Yeah, actually, that 26 yards in the quarter for Delam McCullough is what he averages in 3 games against the Argos, exactly 26 yards. He has not been able to run against the Argo defense, so he's off to a good start here tonight.
Bombers on first down. Kerwin Bell with a 4-point lead. He has McCullough short of the first down, but McCullough makes the catch, and a not bad couple of yards after grabbing the football. Bell off to a hot start. He's a 59% passer overall.
You know, but he's been coming on when the games have meant more here in the last 4 weeks, because in the last 4 weeks, Kerwin Bell has completed 65% of his passes, thrown 5 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. So right now he's playing his best football for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and that's really when they need him most.
Yeah, 9 of 11 is a pretty nice number already. Here's McCullough looking to the outside and then cutting it back in. He'll be short of the first down on 2nd and 2.
You know, Delam McCullough, he's got to learn one thing when you're playing against this Argo defense. You can't waste any time in the backfield. When you get that football, you got to hit it going hard. Watch McCullough kind of hop around back there. See, he's kind of hopping around. He's not really sure where he's going to go with the football. You have to take that ball against a quick Argo defense, hit the hole hard, and see what you can get out of that.
They'll measure this. Are you gambling here? McCullough at least got enough on that play to get them close to the first down and maybe consider the gamble here. It's less than a yard, I'd say, from here.
If it's under a yard, you go for it. But it looks like a long yard, or maybe even a yard and a bit. And I'd say you punt it.
Watch yourself now.
Now, this is exactly what happened to Dave Ritchie a week ago. They are going to gamble on 3rd down. They did it in Toronto and Skydome and didn't get it.
It's deceiving on the sideline here because it looks less than a yard, but it's a long yard as the Bombers go for it here. And Kerwin Bell should have the first down.
John, it looked to me like he got right to the 45-yard line, and if he did, that's a first down. And in fact, they won't even measure. They're moving the sticks. So this time it pays off for Dave Ritchie. Pretty good surge up front by the offensive line in Winnipeg. And Kerwin Bell follows right behind the veteran Dave Van Conen, his center.
So it was a brilliant call by this guy.
Yeah. It's always a great call when it works.
Nigel Williams comes to the near side. 4 receivers set for the Bombers. Bell is going to put it up. Fakes once and comes back the other way. Williams made the catch, but he had to come back. A long way to get it, and the Bombers hate the spot they're getting here.
Well, you know, I don't think the spot's all that bad. Nigel Williams had to come way back for the football. I mean, it was a good play for him to do it, or it's intercepted. But when he did, he lost a ton of yardage. Nigel Williams is off to a good start tonight, and he's catching the football with his hands. He's not letting the ball touch his body, and good receivers have to do that.
Gain is 3, 2nd and 7 Winnipeg. Bombers lead at 4-0. Here comes the heat. Bell stands in there. Shovels it ahead. Deland McCullough got maybe a yard.
Martavius Houston closed in a hurry. This linebacking core for the Toronto Argonauts is truly unbelievable. I mean, as a group, they lead the Canadian Football Leagues in tackles. Martavius Houston, couple sacks on the year, 76 tackles on the year. He leads their team, and that's a team that has Michael O'Shea on it. Look at this, as a group, and this is starters. The Argos, 219 tackles in their linebacking core. Winnipeg 2nd. And look at Hamilton, 189 tackles in their core, and that's a pretty good linebacking core there with Kelvin Tiggle. They are very quick back there for the Argos.
Cameron is in. Pinball is waiting. Smith has it, and a flag goes down. Bomber fans a little unhappy. Adrian Smith on the return lost a yard, and there are 2 markers down.
Well, it looked like one happened during the play and one happened just after it was over. We'll let them sort it out, but right now I think the biggest difference in this game from a week ago is the field position battle, because the Bombers played in their half of the field all week last week in Skydome. This week, they're playing in the Argos half of the field. It doesn't show on the scoreboard yet, but it does show in the time of possession.
Bombers have the lead. It's early in the second quarter on Adidas Friday Night Football. We've started out the penalties here in Winnipeg. No yards against the Bombers. Unnecessary roughness against the Argos. Adrian Smith. So Toronto begins this drive inside the 25 at the 24.
In between.
Ryan Terry.
Talk about guys important to your offense. If the Argos are going to find some consistency, it's got to involve Ryan Terry. Ryan Terry has really been the bright light. You think back to last year in the Argos running, they averaged around 58 yards a game rushing the football, dead last. They've discovered Terry in the back half of the season, and had he played all year, he'd been over 1,000 yards.
He picked up 5 on the previous play. 2nd and 5. Barker, far side. And he has Terry again. He'll be stopped short of the first down. Wrapped up over there by Henry Newby, number 15.
Just to finish off that point on Ryan Terry, in the last 6 games, Ryan Terry has had 547 yards rushing the football. 547 of his total yardage has come in the last 6 games. They have discovered a running game in Toronto. In the first 5 games of the year, Ryan Terry was averaging 29 yards per carry.
Close enough to measure here, Glenn. That's what the Argos need.
Well,
will you gamble here? It's inside your 40. I don't think so.
It's a big gamble when you're inside your end of the field, but you got to feel like you can get a yard. When you got Ryan Terry, and I mentioned how he has been the bright light the last 6 games for the Argo offense, because now he's averaging around 91 yards a game. When you got a guy like him and he's running pretty well, you turn around, hand him the ball, and expect him to get it. And remember, Burse is back.
Burse is in there. Number 34 along with number 33, Ryan Terry. Argos go gambling. 3rd and 1. And they have it. Not on the initial thrust.
No way. Unless they get a very generous spot, no way the Argos made it. They're going to bring them out and measure it. But by the surge, it didn't look like Jay Barker moved an inch, let alone a yard.
Certainly not on his initial motion. If he slid down the line and found an extra few inches, that might be a different story. Of course, all the guys in white jerseys down there suggested it was a first down. And it is.
Whoa, they got a good spot. It didn't look like he moved an inch. You're going to get a great look at it. Watch the surge by the Winnipeg defensive line. I mean, there is no movement from Jay Barker, but like you mentioned, he slid down the side of that pile and picked it up.
Play action fake. Now Barker's in trouble. Got it away for Ryan Terry. He'll get a first down on a broken play. Terry was not the intended target originally.
You can tell by this play that Jay Barker is thinking clearly. He had a concussion, or a mild concussion, after last week's game. He didn't have enough air in his helmet. He took a hit, went down on the turf, and had headaches during the week, but practiced. But when you make quick decisions like that on the run, you're thinking clearly.
Argonauts first down. Barker himself blocks for the first down. Took a pretty good hit as he ran into Gale and Maurice Kelly. 14 and 24.
You're going to see the good gap when Joe Fleming starts moving. Watch Joe Fleming go wide. When he goes wide, the big hole opens up. You see, he's got to get contained, so he goes upfield to make sure Jay Barker can't go out. When he does that, he opens up that inside lane. Barker recognizes it and takes off, and it takes advantage of it.
Argos are on a nice little roll, set up at the 50-yard line. Here's Terry again. Grabbed as he crossed the line of scrimmage, and that was Kelly again.
they're going to let Joe Fleming go on a couple of plays. So far in this defensive scheme that they've game planned for the Argos, Joe Fleming has been always in the contain pattern, which means he goes straight up the field. We saw him on the last play when Barker took off in the lane. On this play he just ran, he again was in contain. He's playing soft. That's not Joe Fleming's style. You send Joe Fleming at the quarterback one-on-one, you got a guy that can raise havoc.
2nd and 8. Argonauts near midfield. Barker, man open. No first down as Harold Nash came over and made the stop on Daryl Mitchell.
This is a good matchup to the wide side of the field. It's going to be Daryl Mitchell, the Argos' #1 receiver inside, against Harold Nash. Daryl Mitchell will take off. He just find the soft spot out there on the sideline. Harold Nash breaks up and makes a good open field tackle against a guy that can make you miss in a hurry. But that's best against best. Daryl Mitchell last week had a 100-yard game.
Here we go again. Argos are gambling. 3rd and a long yard. Argos want to get across the Winnipeg 40. And Tony Burse may have it.
Well, he's going to be close again.
I
but
said
he got
he may have.
Yeah, and he got it on 2nd effort.
Yeah, he did get it.
Because he got hit 2 yards in the backfield. But normally speaking, the first guy that hits Tony Burse doesn't get anything but a headache. It's
he usually goes down.
It's the 2nd and 3rd guy that will bring down Tony Burse.
Injured Argonaut will check out what's happening down there when we return. Toronto with a chance to move into the lead. We'll be back.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Gibson's finest 12-year-old, when only the finest will do.
The injured Argonaut, starting center Chad Folk, the only Argonaut on the offensive line who's played every game. He's being looked at on the far side. Meantime, the Argo drive continues. 1st and 10 at the Bomber 40. Play action fake Barker. Got it away. Tony Burse has a first down. A nice burst of speed there.
Well, what a story Tony Burse has been the last couple of weeks. He had a mystery viral infection. The doctors couldn't figure out what was the problem. Tony Burse could not swallow. He had a swollen throat to a point where he could almost not breathe. That's how bad it was. He said he's never felt pain like he felt with his bad throat. That's how important, when you look at those numbers, he is to the offense. You know what it turned out to be?
Well, I know, but tell everybody else.
Tonsillitis. They figured it out. Tonsillitis.
It sounded like a very mysterious illness, as the Argos were describing it last week. A viral infection. And anyway, when they finally got to the bottom of it, it was tonsil problems. And first down, nowhere to go there.
He lost 15 pounds over the last couple of weeks. Ryan Terry got jammed there, had nowhere to go, but Burse lost 15 pounds. And that is not easy on the body. And that was a concern coming into this game. They knew he was healthy enough to play, but would he have the stamina and the strength after losing 15 pounds? Well, he put on about 10 of the 15 this week. He said he's been working out hard. They really ran him hard during the week. He had no problem with it. He's back in the lineup, and he brings back that attitude.
Nice drive. The Argonauts began at the 24. 10 plays later, they're inside the Bomber 30.
Barker's going to get an equipment timeout. He's having chin strap problems, and you know why he's upset? Because he had his offense rolling.
Yeah, and you really don't want to end up with a stoppage here when you've got this team inside the Bomber 30-yard line. Timeout at Winnipeg Stadium. Sports Desk tonight. Celebrate a Yankee victory for the 25th time.
They got the key to the city there, didn't they?
Grizzlies sail. Could it be on hold? And Byron Defoe back with the Bruins. It was only a matter of time.
That was Abdul Rahim with the gorgeous move.
Rod Smith has it all on Sports Desk right after we're done in Winnipeg. Argos, 2nd and 11. Barker's hat. his head. And he got it away. It's Tony Burse. And Burse not only makes a great catch, well, a nice run after it. He'll be short of the first down by a couple of yards. He picked up 9.
This play has 2 elements that are right out of Ripley's Believe It or Not. First of all, believe it or not, Jay Barker got this ball out of there because the Bombers were coming with the blitz. Henry Newby, Doug Hawking, they had a team meeting there. He squeezed out, and then look at that's the other Believe It or Not. Tony Burse comes up with a one-handed catch in the open field. Now, how did he get out of that? Gets the ball out of there. Tony Burse makes the one-hander. That's the fullback.
Now the Argos have gambled a couple of times on this drive, but not now. 3rd and 2 yards. I guess they're figuring now is not the time.
Well, the odds are going to come around sooner or later.
Spin around and get you. So Dan Giancola is in. Spotted at the 25, and Giancola is good. What a year he's had, you know. Yeah. This guy would be a pretty good choice for Rookie of the Year.
And he's so much fun to talk to. I had a real brief conversation with him before the game. He's jumping around like he's a little kid in a candy store. He really is. It's been every game I've seen him. He comes out to me, "Hi, how you doing? How's it going?" He's just jumping around. He's all hyper. And I asked the coach, Jeff Fairholm, I said, "Boy, he's really happy to be here, isn't he? He's just living out his dream." He says, "You know what? He's nervous, and that's how he burns that nervous energy."
He is a nice young man, and it's always nice to see a guy who's been around and played semi-professional football for years and never really had a chance to make any money at this game finally get the opportunity. And the good thing about him is he's taken advantage of it. He's kicked very well for the Argonauts.
Made some big kicks under pressure situations.
Won 2 games this year. Last play, one against Montreal, one against Hamilton. Argos narrow the gap to a single point. Kerwin Bell back at the controls for the Bombers. Simon made the catch and a good move afterwards to get close to a first down. Lots to talk about on what the Bombers have achieved in the first half when the boys join us at halftime on the Canadian Airlines halftime show starring James Duthie with co-starring Chris Schultz and Matt Dunnigan.
They seemed a little tense before the game, or was it just me?
I think they might have been tense. It's Friday Night Football from Adidas. 3:04 to go till halftime. Kerwin Bell and the Bombers hanging on to a 1-point lead. Winnipeg Stadium a couple of nights before that scary evening. Against Bombers have a 1-point lead. This is 2nd and 1. Kerwin Bell goes for it, and he has Simon. Wasn't sure if he held on to the ball. And now Bryce has it going the other way.
Alondis Bryce came up with the interception. He showed tremendous range from the free safety position. When you have a free safety, what you want out of them is you want them to be able to move from hash mark to hash mark when the football is in the air. And Alondis Bryce covers a lot of ground and somehow comes up with that football. You're going to see him back here come all the way across the field. Hash mark to hash mark. Well, Alondis Bryce gets almost to the numbers. Comes up with the interception and hangs
just
off.
stole it right out of his hands.
Well, he took it away. He covered about 25 yards of real estate to get out there.
On the turnover, the Argos are at the 30. Nice play action fake by Barker. Incomplete.
You know what? The ball hit the turf. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now are arguing that it was a fumble and they recovered it.
Turnovers are even.
Coach Ritchie's not going to get the football, even though his defense were arguing that the ball was on the ground. They recovered. The officials are saying that the whistle blew.
2nd and 10. Argonauts at the 30. It's a 1-point ball game. Barker has time, and he's on the money, far side. Andre Kerwin, who started out the game catching a couple.
600 yards on the year for Andre Kerwin. He's just going to run the out man coverage. Eddie Thomas is in coverage. He's a little high. When a defensive back gets that high, can just break off. When I say high, I mean upfield. Andre Kerwin, 600 yards in the season in 14 games.
And he splits to the near side. 4 receivers set for the Argos. Barker on first down. Has Masadi, who was wrapped up immediately by Eddie Thomas. Gain about 5, maybe 4 yards.
Well, you know what? Jay Barker has really started to progress pretty well, and that was one of the goals for Jim Barker heading into this season, to get Jay Barker. Once they traded Kerwin Bell away, they wanted to see the development of Jay Barker. In the last 5 games, Jay Barker has not thrown an interception, and that's a sign that he is starting to learn it, starting to figure it out.
He does have a good arm and strong running ability. There's Barker, got it away for Tony Burse. Huge first down for the Argos. And more. Tony Burse, not to be denied, until Brandon Hamilton caught up with him from behind. What a play by Tony Burse, who didn't exactly run over people. He almost ran through them.
Tony Burse was like the locomotive on the railroad track when he picks up this football. He gets those shoulders turned downfield. Now, you want to be a defensive back and take that guy on? I don't think so. Rasheed Gale couldn't get him down by the face mask. Brandon Hamilton had to jump on the locomotive's back.
And ride him down. Burse, 3 catches, 75 yards. The Argos should take the lead on this drive. First down inside the 10. Touchdown. I thought Andre Kerwin was a little surprised that they gave it to him.
He made the catch with one hand, John.
And it was coming down inbounds in the end zone.
It's called the throw behind. It's where Andre Kerwin goes deep down the sideline into the end zone, and then the ball is thrown behind him. It's awful tough to cover for Eddie Thomas, and I believe Andre Kerwin brought that ball in with one hand.
Big play, followed by another big play, and Kerwin is saving that one.
It's still stuck to the one hand.
Nice job by Jay Barker. Argos have the lead for the first time. Kerwin has the touchdown. Tony Burse did all the work to set it up.
Here's Andre Kerwin. Now he's going to go down the sideline, but the ball will be thrown behind him. It's called the throw behind. Now watch this. This looks like he's going deep and the ball will be thrown high, so Eddie Thomas takes off, and then Kerwin brings it in with the one hand on the throw behind. Perfectly executed play.
Nice scoring drive. 5 plays to cover 81 yards.
The big play by Tony Burse. It really looked like a broken play. Jay Barker dumped it off to Burse, and he rumbled for 52 yards.
Scoring drive is brought to you by Buck a Call. Call 101-5566 and save without switching. Eddie Thomas returning for Winnipeg. He's out across the 30 to about the 32 and flattened there.
Burse brings attitude, doesn't he? I mean, Tony Burse was the key to that drive and the reason the Argos are up. This was the key play of the drive where Jay Barker had to dump it off to Burse, and then he does the rest. I mean, he just takes that football and run. That's called running with attitude. I mean, that's intimidating when you're running.
And Barker's toss had a little desperation in it, did it not?
Oh, absolutely. He's going down. And, you know, Tony Burse gets that play. They score. He goes to the sideline, and he goes up and down the bench talking to his teammates.
Let's see if the Bombers can respond with 1:45 to go. Markers are down.
I think there's going to be a late hit on the Argos. I believe it'll be Fred Perry.
McCullough made the catch. And Bell ended up on his backside.
Major foul, roughing the passer, Toronto number 93, first down.
It's a good call, too. Fred Perry was working on Mike Mihalik. Watch Fred Perry come right over here and Mike Mihalik, and when he does, watch this. He gets around him. 1, 2, 3 steps after the ball is thrown. Down goes Kerwin Bell on a hard hit. That's a good call to protect the quarterback.
You're allowed 1, basically, to stop. Is that not correct?
Basically allowed a bit better than a half.
Yeah. Bell in trouble again. Got it away. McCullough made the catch. He's well short of the first down. Maybe a couple.
Martavius Houston has been a heat-seeking missile in this game for the Argos in the linebacking corps. Leads a team with tackles. When that ball is in the air, he is after it. He's a rookie.
Yeah, might get some votes to represent the Argonauts. I'm kind of pulling for Dan Giancola.
Well, you got a guy making 76 tackles. He also has a couple sacks on the year. He leads your team as a rookie, playing beside Michael O'Shea. That's consideration right there.
2nd and 6. Bell buys some time. Catch. Can't be made. Williams is looking for a call. It's not happening. Bell is over arguing his case too. Nigel Williams thought he might have been interfered with.
Chris Perez is telling him to get back and get to the sidelines and not get a stupid penalty. Because Nigel Williams lost it there for a minute. This is the end of the play. Nigel Williams trying to work to an open area. The contact was early. He has
You're saying he might have a point?
Well, he has an argument, but you have to be very careful how you make that argument. You go talk to the officials, you do it politely. Excuse me, sir. I think you missed one, is how you say it. If you say it any more firm than that, you could get a penalty on it.
Cameron hammers a beauty. Smith on the return away from the first wave as a marker goes down. He's wrapped up by Yamoka. 8 on the return, 43 on Cameron's kick. And one have they spotted.
Illegal block against the Argos. It might have been Fred Perry, because I believe Fred Perry in the middle of that.
Yeah, reading lips there, it was Fred Perry. So Perry starts the game with a couple of sacks, and he's had a little problem since.
Well, Fred Perry, number 93, right here in the middle of your screen. He's the one with the illegal block on Trevor Lutke, right in the middle of the back. So Perry gets a couple of penalties. One a late hit on Kerwin Bell and one an illegal block on the special teams. And now the Argos backed up under their goalpost.
Argos begin at their own 5. Nice run. Ryan Terry. Coming up at the half, the boys will be ready with the Canadian Airlines report. James and Chris and Matt.
Well, we knew the pressure would be on the two guys you were looking at right behind that. That was Dave Van Conant and Jay McNeil, or excuse me, Brett McNeil, and they're playing pretty well early in this game.
2nd and 1. And the Argos should have the first down. Tony Burse.
Tony Burse is a load. And if you don't believe me, ask Tyrone Rogers. Watch that hit. Look at Rogers. Rogers is a big guy. I mean, he weighs 300 pounds. Tony Burse, after losing 15, he's about 235. He just knocked Tyrone Rogers back about 3 yards.
23 seconds till halftime. Jay Barker held on. He's short of the first down with 16 seconds to go.
Well, I believe that Jim Barker he wants to down it now. That one came from Jay Barker. So Jim Barker's over there just reminding him about the time on the clock. He's over there saying, okay, now kneel down twice, please, and let's go in at halftime with a 10-4 lead. Don't mess around, throw it, have an interception, and give the Bombers tons of momentum. I mean, Jay Barker ended up scrambling on the play, but Jim Barker didn't like that he called a passing play.
Bombers had the lead, should have had a couple of field goals. They came away with just one and a single. Argonauts with a nice drive on the last sequence. End up going to the dressing room with a 6-point lead at halftime. And Barker takes the rest of the seconds off the clock. Good beginning to the first half for the Bombers. Good ending for the Argonauts. Barker has the lead at halftime. Ritchie goes back to regroup in the Bomber dressing room.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the half. Brought to you by Canadian Airlines, a member of oneworld.
Well, it wasn't as bad as last week when they were outscored 24-3, but still another miserable second quarter for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and all that momentum they had at the beginning of the game when they came out fired up, all gone. On the Argos side of things, you know, the one guy who's been missing the past few weeks, and as you've seen, the offense has kind of stalled the past few weeks, Tony Burst, and he's made a huge difference in that first half, Chris.
Boy, is he ever. And I want to show you specifically the difference that Tony Burst has made. It is amazing how effective he is in all three phases of football. Here's phase number one, the ability to be a point of attack blocker. Tony Burst, Henry Newby, and now they're going to go at it. It's more the collision than anything else you like to see. Nice block, could have sustained it a little bit better, but nice collision. Here, key third down. Watch the second effort right there to get the first down. There's his running back style. Now, as a pass receiver out in the flats, watch him turn his shoulders square to the field, and off he goes to the races. I think fullback is one of the most unique positions in football because there are so many things you can do, so many things you have to do, plus most fullbacks are special teams players. I like Tony Burst. Matt.
He looks great, doesn't he? I saw him in the locker room last week, and I had to just talk with him, and he said he came into camp at 248. All his teammates and myself agreed at 252. A big man, no doubt, that brought a big type play mentality to this football team. But right now he's at 238. So this last 3 weeks, him not being able to eat, the tonsillitis and all the things that went along with that, maybe has helped him out here, because as we see, Tony Burst is running north and south, up and down the football field. The man simply just gets her done. He saw him take that one pass and go for about 40 yards to the 10-yard line. The man simply is outrunning some folks, getting her done. That extra weight that he's dropped has helped him out, and he's bringing enthusiasm that the Toronto Argonauts lacked for the last couple of weeks.
It was definitely the Tony Burst show for at least the second part of that second quarter. Andre Kerwin helps out, the Winnipeg native, with the touchdown, and Jay Barker also with an impressive second quarter, and that's why the Argos lead at the break. Now, when we return, we're going to show you around the rest of the league, talk about all the different playoff possibilities, and see who the boys like. Tony Burst and the Argos lead by 6 at the break. Road to the Vanier Cup, some major movement in the ranking. 2 undefeateds knocked off last week. Mac beat Western, Bishop shocked Concordia, so the Saskatchewan Huskies back on top. Our match to catch, well, it features Concordia against the only undefeated team left, the Ottawa UGGs. Remember, the GGs can't be ranked because of some sanctions against their program. Well, we talked earlier about how difficult it is for a team to balance playing hard and also not trying to get anybody hurt when you've already wrapped up a playoff spot. That's the situation facing the Toronto Argonauts tonight, and they've done the balance, well, pretty well so far tonight. Greg Musselman spoke with Argos head coach Jim Barker.
Argo head coach Jim Barker. Jim, kind of a slow start from your ball club, but second quarter, your team started to go.
Yeah, we got a couple plays. Jay made a couple plays when they were rushing him. I mean, Winnipeg's come out very fired up, and they got a full house here, and they're playing very well.
Burst, he's a truck out there.
Yeah, he's a load, and we've missed him the last 4 weeks. He's a big part of our offense. So, you know, we just have to continue to try to get our momentum and continuity on offense. We lost a couple offensive linemen in that half, and you know, the guys battled hard the whole half, so that was good.
Thanks. Good luck in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
We know the Argos defense is good, but there is really no excuse for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They need this one badly. They came out fired up, and they've done basically nothing on offense, especially in that second quarter. Only 88 yards net in the first half. The Argos with 136 passing yards. That is very good for them. Time of possession almost dead even, but the Argos ahead on the scoreboard. Let's talk second half adjustments, Matt.
Well, continue to do what they did in the second half. That's dominate offensively. This is something that we can't say that Toronto has done all year long. But 9 first downs in the second quarter alone, 126 yards passing in the air, controlled the ball for over 11 minutes. This keeps their defense, which we know is deadly, off the football field, riled up, full engine, ready to get after the Winnipeg offense, Chris, and this has been a key thing for the Toronto Argonauts to come out and do, is control the football.
What you're talking about is a mindset, and if I was with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I would say, hey, look, last time we played this, guys, it was 31-6, now it's 10-4, no problem. We have an opportunity to win in the second half, James.
All right, the score 10-4, good buddy at the break. The Argos ahead of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Again, the Bombers have to win pretty much to stay alive. Mike O'Shea. Good play, O'Shea. Second half coming up.
Back in Winnipeg, ready to get the second half underway. Dave Ritchie, a little steam to this football team.
Yeah, he was up and down the sideline yelling at a couple of players. We always interview both coaches at halftime. He refused to do it. My question is, like, it's not our fault.
We didn't do anything.
Yeah, but
neither did the Bombers in the second quarter. And the Bombers are fighting for their playoff lives. The Argonauts off to a solid start in the second half as well. The great return. Tyrone Brown turned on the Jets. And the Argos begin with a brilliant return.
Turned on the Jets and wasn't touched. Great blocking at the point of attack. And look at him go. Eric Johnson was knocked right out of bounds. Maurice Kelly wasn't a factor as well. That's two pretty good football players covering the field.
And it's up to the kicker to force him out. Westwood, the last man back and over to force out Tyrone Brown. Look where the Argos begin, inside the Winnipeg 50. Hocking makes the tackle on Ryan Terry. Quarterbacks in the first half. Barker a slower start, but ends up with 136 yards total. 1 touchdown, no interceptions.
Of course, 52 of the Barker yards came on Tony Burse's long run.
Kerwin Bell, 14 of 18, 81. So his percentage isn't bad at all. But the number of yards, not sufficient for a team trying to grab a playoff spot. This is 2nd and 9. There's Barker, far side, complete, Darryl Mitchell. But he stepped out of bounds.
Well, he didn't make the catch the first time. He was juggling. The officials say he didn't have possession when he stepped out of bounds. They rule it no catch.
I think they got the call right here, too.
Here's a good look at it. Ball's coming up. See, if he catches it there, he's well in bounds, but he juggles it, doesn't have control, and then steps out of bounds. The official was right on the spot. No control there. Tipping it around, still doesn't have control, and his foot's on the line, and it is a good call.
So it'll be 3rd and 1, almost for Mitchell. A sigh of relief for the Bombers here after the big return.
This is a long field goal attempt.
Giancola will have it spotted on the 54. Has some weights. And he's got it. 54-yard field goal for Dan Giancola.
Wow.
I don't think anybody's had more fun playing the game in 1999 than Giancola.
That's his longest field goal of the season. He really nailed it. He punched it. It didn't get in by much. And it was a high snap. Noel Prefontaine had to go up to get it. That takes the timing away. It's not as good timing. Giancola keeps his head down, concentrates, and it just barely makes it over. Look at that. I mean, we're talking the game of inches. Well, there's about 3 of them between the post and the football right there. Giancola's not sure. He asked Noel Prefontaine, was it in? And
they really didn't know, and actually, the official calling it was a little hesitant down there, too. But definitely the right call again. And 3 more for the Argonauts. Picked up. Bryce, 2nd interception of the evening. Alondis Bryce.
Well, again,
no.
He has great range to get there because he goes all the way to the numbers this time. I mean, Robert Gordon is on the numbers. Okay, that's the numbers printed on the field. See the 40 there? Alondas Bryce went from the middle of the field. The field is 65 yards long. They're saying he dropped the football at the end of the play.
I thought he had possession of the ball and lost it when he hit the ground. But they say the break will go to the Bombers this time. 2nd and 10. So it's just a long incompletion. Simon makes the catch. And fights to get a little extra yardage, but he's 4 short of a first down.
John, we got to take one more look at the end of that last interception. I thought Alondas Bryce had that football right on the number.
Well, he had his hands on it.
You see the ball bouncing around on the turf right at the bottom there. I mean, there's the football, and it was definitely on the turf. So when he had his back to us, that ball bounced, and then he scooped it back off the turf and tried to put the cell job on. Well, the officials have been on tonight.
In. Cameron to Smith. Adrian Smith waiting back near his 25. Cameron has boomed a couple tonight.
What happened?
And this is the pinball, Mike Clemens. Out across the 30 to the 32. 4 on the return, 43 on the punt. It's Adidas Friday Night Football live from Winnipeg. 1st and 10 Argos beginning at the 32. Barker swings it out far side. He has Brown, or rather Kerwin, Andre Kerwin.
You know, when you're Jim Barker, the head coach of the Argos right now, you have to figure out ways to get your team fired up for a game that really means nothing in the standings. And what's important to Jim Barker right now is to make sure the team is playing its best football when they head into the playoffs, which are just around the corner. So this is a very important game for that reason. You want to be playing well and on a roll when you head into those playoffs.
Ryan Terry grabbed by Benny Goods in the backfield. So Goods fires him to the turf. Couple of big plays for number 40 early in the game.
Just to get back to Jim Barker, you know, when coming into this season, I think that he had 3 goals on the year. One was to develop Jay Barker. We talked about that early in the game, that he is coming along. 0 interceptions in the last 5. Establish a running game. They really have done that a lot better this year than they did last. They're averaging close to 130 yards on the ground a game.
2nd and 10. Barker roughed up, dragged down. Goods was there, and so was Tyrone Rogers.
Goods has come to play, hasn't he? I mean, Benny Goods has decided to turn it on and take it on his own. Here he is over here on the side. Watch Benny Goods get after it. He's decided to step it up. Side steps. The offensive lineman is in the backfield, and Jay Barker had no shot. They were trying to set up the screen to the outside. That's why the offensive lineman took off and ran without actually blocking Benny Goods. But usually in a screen, you want your offensive lineman to block for like a 2 count. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, and then go.
Robert Gordon deep for the Bombers.
What is this formation?
Interesting.
Well,
that would have been what, a 70-yard field goal try?
Yeah. No, here, and it was Noel Prefontaine kicking it. Here's what they're trying to do. They're trying to be pinpoint with the kick, and it's easier to do that off a tee than it is as a punter dropping the football.
It's Adidas Friday Night Football. Back at Winnipeg Stadium, it's time to wake up the Bombers. First down, Winnipeg. Near the 30, Kerwin Bell near side. Gets close to a first down. 9 9 yards to Nigel Williams. Back to the previous play. It'll go in the record books as an 80-yard field goal.
See, that is Jimmy Kemp, the backup quarterback. So two things that the Argos are trying to do with this 80-yard field goal attempt. One is to have Noel Prefontaine kick it straight out of bounds as deep as he can. You have more accuracy from the tee than you do punting the football. The other thing is you got Jimmy Kemp in there, so defensively you got to respect that he could throw it.
Second less than a yard to go. Bell converts.
Unfortunately, John, for Noel Prefontaine, that goes for 0 for 1 in the field goal department.
It's going to hurt his percentage.
It's hurting his percentage when you kick a 80-yarder.
I thought the Bombers got off to a good start. They moved the football well. They took advantage of a short kick that they recovered, and all of a sudden, in the second quarter, they couldn't move the ball again.
Well, I think the key is that the Bombers haven't adjusted, and the Argos adjusted their defense a little bit.
Rogers dropped it, or Gordon dropped it, I should say. Robert Gordon.
See, that's what they did. I mean, they went in halftime, and the Argos adjusted a little bit. They're playing a little more man coverage in the second half. In the first half, they were playing zone. That's why we saw the ball being thrown to the outside by Kerwin Bell, because that's where the weakness in the zone they were playing is. But in this half, they're in more man. So now it's up to the Bombers to adjust again and come up with something to beat man coverage.
9:11 to go, third quarter. Bombers are fighting for their playoff lives. Here come the Argos. Bell buys some time. Has McCullough. McCullough turns it into a first down. Nice play by McCullough after making the catch.
Kerwin Bell needs to throw the football down the field a little bit, and if he's gonna, he's got to get it to Chris Armstrong, number 81. Armstrong has been a non-factor in this game. He is open. There's Chris Armstrong. He comes all the way across the field and is wide open. Now Kerwin Bell dumps it off to McCullough. He gets the first down on his own. If they want to move the football into deeper territory, they got to throw it downfield, and Armstrong may be the key.
McCullough out of the backfield this time as flags go down. McCullough is wrapped up quickly. Houston was there along with Brechterfield.
See, if Kerwin Bell can find 81 and maybe get him involved, especially with Milt Stiegel out of the game, you got a chance, because Chris Armstrong is a veteran. I mean, he's a guy that can get it done. He struggled this year.
Holding. Winnipeg, number 51. First down repeated.
That's the right tackle, Patrick Kessie.
I'll tell you what, John. It's a one-way street.
Richie complaining down there that it's a one-way street. Games remaining. Eskimos 5-11. Bombers 5-11. Edmonton plays Saskatchewan this weekend and at Toronto next. The Bombers are in Montreal next week, but they really have to win this one tonight. Bell has Simon, but it was 1st and 20, and he only got about a yard.
Well, this is what
they're not moving it upfield, Glenn.
No, this is what the Argo defense will do to you. They'll drop back, they'll make you throw it underneath, and then because of their great quickness in the linebacking core, they'll come up and tackle you. You know, and in order to beat that, you've got to try and get those linebackers to creep up more to the line of scrimmage. You got to get some more play action, get your running game involved again. If Michael O'Shea, Martavius Houston, and Kelly Wilshire come closer to the line, Bell can throw the ball behind them easier.
2nd and 19. Bell found McCullough. McCullough couldn't find a block. He got about 4. And Michael O'Shea there to wrap him up again.
You know, the Argo defense, the key is their linebacking core, and the two guys in the middle of the defense, Maxey, Jermaine Haley, and Michael O'Shea will disguise the blitz in this play, drop back, look at his eyes, follow the football. I mean, he just flies around the football, always in control, always understanding what he's seeing and believing what he's seeing, because he's a veteran, flies around and makes plays.
Cameron is in on 3rd down. Argos lead it 13-4. Bombers have to get back in a hurry. Mike Clemens, and not much there. Leading the tacklers, Steve Glenn. And number 30, Brad Yamoka. It's Adidas Friday Night Football. We're live from Winnipeg, and it's the Argos by 9. That's the story so far. At the conclusion, we'll show you the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8 Motels.
And I don't think
Argos begin this drive at the 23, first down. Ryan Terry. Markers are down. Terry found a little room behind Dwayne Morgan and Giaskas. I think this is against the Argos. And the indication would be holding.
Holding. Toronto number 62. First down repeated.
That was Dwayne Morgan.
Dwayne Morgan at the point of attack, I believe, was holding Joe Fleming. Sometimes you have to hold Joe Fleming, or he's going to make the play.
He's a great football player, All-Canadian last year.
You know, you can't really blame Dwayne Morgan for holding Joe Fleming.
Argos look at 1st and 20 back at the 13 now. Barker stands in and missed the target. Mazzotti was in the area, looked to be the closest receiver there. Barker took a hit.
Joe Fleming is moving around in this defense a little bit. He's right behind the official here, and he's going to come around on a stunt. They're trying to get Joe Fleming in some one-on-one matchups. See him coming around the edge, and Dwayne Morgan really holds him again. They didn't call it. The ball was delivered in a hurry. It was delivered incomplete because Fleming was moving around and making some things happen in the backfield, and Jay Barker didn't have time.
So it's 2nd and 20. Big play for the Bomber defense here. Barker buys a little time and missed his target. Looking for Daryl Mitchell. So the Bomber defense comes up with a pretty good stand here, and Winnipeg will have good field position if they can fire up the offense.
It would have been a tough catch. I think Jay Barker wanted a little better effort out of Daryl Mitchell on this. He runs the corner pattern. Would have been a tough catch. The ball was high. Well, that one was overthrown. I think from Jay Barker's point of view, it looked like he could have got two hands on it. Jay Barker kind of shook his head a little bit. But I think when he watches the tape back, he'll realize that that ball was too high to be caught.
Here we go again. So what will this be?
This is about a 100-yard field goal attempt.
105-yard field goal try. But they didn't get it out of bounds. Gale will get a little bit of a run on the return here. Markers are down. And Gale turns the corner. Prefontaine over to force him out. And a marker is down. Bombers will have good field position no matter which way this call goes.
Go for the damn ball! And we need to get Doug Brett. You keep doing it. He never touched it. Never touched it. You guys screw us more than anybody else. Hey, Brett, get you some class.
Dave Ritchie is angry, and he has a reason to be.
Joe Fleming got called on the illegal block, and he did not touch Tony Burse.
First down, Bombers. Nigel Williams makes the catch.
Here was the play that Dave Ritchie is so upset about. Now watch right here. Joe Fleming on Tony Burse. He's running after him, but you can see he doesn't touch Burse. Burse goes down all by himself.
His own momentum as he tried to get a hand on Rasheed Gale carried him to the turf. The Bombers got job there.
Well, it cost him, John, 35 yards in field position.
2nd and 5. Dylan McCullum. And we'll see where they spot this. He's going to be short of the first down, wrapped up by O'Shea again.
O'Shea just flowing to the football. Folds right down on Dylan McCullum. And you know what? The Bombers are going to have to punt the football. Now, you just think about that penalty against Dave Ritchie where Joe Fleming did not touch Tony Burse. They lose the field position. At the very worst, Dave Ritchie is looking at a field goal attempt. Even if they go 2 downs and out, they're kicking a field goal. Now Cameron's in to punt the football.
It's 3rd and 2. Not much choice to make here for Winnipeg. Cameron puts it high. Mike Clemens for about 3. Well, Tony Burse has been involved in a lot here tonight. First half, watch Tony go.
He's been the dump-off guy for Jay Barker, kind of an emergency receiver, but the emergency was like a 911 call for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on this play.
Yeah, and this was the beauty. This set up the touchdown. You can't bring 34 down once he gets up ahead of Steve.
You know what the thing is you can't measure, and something that we've talked about before with Burse, but what you can't measure, and the numbers are great, but you can't measure the intensity and the way that he brings the rest of the team up, and the intensity that he brings to the huddle. He goes in there and he'll talk to the offensive linemen, and they feel like he's one of them. The 5 offensive linemen look at Tony Burse and the way he blocks, and they say, you know, we really got 6 offensive linemen, but we also know what he can do when he gets the football in his hands.
Injury timeout in Winnipeg. Bomber special teams guy Wade Miller being attended to. We'll be right back. Argo coach Jim Barker has thrown a couple of wrinkles at us here tonight. I know we were talking about a 105-yard field goal. There was no real chance for that to happen. But it goes in as a field goal because it is handled that way and placed out on the turf. The last one almost backfired on the Argos because they didn't get it out of bounds.
Well, he's shown us that jumbo offense where Adrian Smith is the quarterback, as we watch Wade Miller walk off the field on his own steam. That's good news. And now he's showing us a field goal formation from 105 yards away.
1st and 10, Argos begin at the 17. Ryan Terry, nice hole for him. Terry is still going. Johnson had a beat on him. He lost the ball. Bombers have a chance. Who's got it? Looks like the Bombers to me.
Again, John, there's 2 elements to this play. The first one is the unbelievable move that Ryan Terry puts on Doug Hocking in the open field. I mean, you want to see some shake and bake. You're going to see some shake and bake with dessert. I mean, this is an unbelievable move in the open field by Ryan Terry. Watch Doug Hocking come in, number 38. Look at that move. Cut back. Hocking is left on the turf, didn't touch him. And then the other element, the fumble at the end of the play caused by Eddie Thomas, and Henry Newby kicked it initially, but he recovered it before it went out of bounds.
So the Bombers first down, beginning at the Winnipeg 50. Dylan McCullum. Better than 5. O'Shea there again.
But see,
along with Demetrius Maxey.
This is the very important point. Now, the turnovers are now going to Toronto's favor. We talked about the fact that Winnipeg turns the ball over too much, and that has cost them. Now it's flipping over. Henry Newby's got it on their side of the coin.
Burse comes up. He's cutting it back. He went opposite, and then he pulled.
He's cutting it back. Yeah, we saw him cut it back on Doug Hocking in a hurry.
2nd and 5. Bombers fighting for a playoff spot. They trail by 9. Kerwin Bell. Williams came back to make the catch. He needed 10. That's what he got.
Kerwin Bell
needed 5, and he got 10.
Kerwin Bell had to change the play on the line of scrimmage, and he had to get the thing set up properly. He very nearly didn't get the snap off. He had to get G-Roy Simon on the other side of the formation. And when he did that, then he got the man-to-man matchup he wanted to the front side. That's why he completed the pass.
2:19 to go, 3rd quarter. Bombers. First down at the 45. Here comes the heat. Bell got it away. McCullum had a nice night. Dylan McCullough made some good catches in traffic, a couple of nice runs.
Well, we've seen him run a couple of times now, and we've seen this little dump pass. And what this will do as the game goes on is we'll get Michael O'Shea, number 50, to move up. See, Michael O'Shea got the deep drop again and then broke up on the football. If they keep doing that, then Kerwin Bell is going to see Michael O'Shea sneak up a little bit, and that's when maybe he can throw that football in behind him. He takes a pretty good hit after throwing that one.
They got it from both sides.
Demetrius Maxey and Fred Perry with the Bell sandwich.
2nd and 3. Here's McCullough on the ground. Looks for room to the outside, and he'll have the first down. Looked like he was going to swing it way wide, but he cut back up in behind the tackle of Chris Perez.
Have you ever heard the expression student body? Well, this is student body left. Watch the size and poundage the Winnipeg Blue Bombers bring to the left side of the formation, and Patrick Kessie and Mike Mihaly. They get him out there. They get him out there. They give D-Lam McCullough a chance.
And guess who was there? Waiting. Mike O'Shea. But McCullough did get the first down. 9 carries. And this is a huge drive for the Bombers from the 35, Bell. And Williams, who went down and then got hammered by Shaw.
Now, John, you talked about how aggressive the Argo defense have been, and they've been that way all year. They hit you when you catch the football. And this is where it pays off. When you're hitting receivers and running backs every single play, it'll pay off every now and then because the receiver will take a peek to where that hit is coming from, and when he does that, he drops the football.
2nd and 10. Critical play for the Bombers here. Into traffic. No chance. Chris Armstrong was there, and so was Nigel Williams. And the Bombers will have to settle for a field goal.
Look at Kerwin Bell. His helmet was all up around his head because the Argos sent everybody. See, that's what Bell is frustrated about, because he wanted his receivers to adjust when they saw the blitz coming and run what play is called for blitz. See, because what you do is you call your play in the huddle, the receiver goes out there, but if he sees the Argos sending everyone on the blitz, the play changes automatically. The receivers didn't see it.
41-yard field goal try. He's got it. Troy Westwood missed one earlier, but he's got that from 41. So now it's a 6-point game.
Well, this is why Kerwin Bell is so frustrated, because he's going to see blitz coming. Watch, that's Alondas Bryce, a free safety. Everybody's coming for the Argos. When the safety's open, he wants the receiver to go into the hole in the middle. If the receiver doesn't go in the hole, this is what's going to happen. See, Chris Armstrong, he ran the play that was called. He ran the out pattern. But see, he's waiting right now. Bell is waiting for him to go to the middle. When he sees he's not going there, he just tries to throw it away.
He was hammered last week 13 times by this Argo defense. Toronto first down from the 35 after the field goal. Parker missed. Tyrone Brown was the target, and Dave Ritchie is still steamed on the sideline.
38 is up to 8.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by Toyota Canada and its dealers.
Dave Ritchie has plenty of reason to be frustrated tonight, not only by the play of his team, but also a couple of those calls. As for the Argos, lots of gimmicks. Haven't seen a 105-yard field goal attempt since Gus the Field Goal Kicking Mule, which, by the way, was one of my favorite movies when I was a kid. You didn't like the gimmick, Chris, did you?
No, I didn't. I mean, I appreciate imagination in football. I appreciate the creative side of football, but this really doesn't make any sense to me. When you try to kick the ball like this, you do not have the hang time you do, and you have this group of people that have to cover the kick. They are different athletes. They are called offensive linemen. They do not have the quickness nor the speed that linebacker and secondary players do. And here's my question. Who is so dangerous as a punt returner with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that you have to take the risk of positionally kicking them? Fundamentals win in football and challenging your players, and I think they should have punted the football, taken the opportunity to make a play. Matt, I don't agree with that at all.
Well, Chris, maybe that's not what they're looking for right now. Maybe they're trying to work on some of their special teams play. Daryl Adrano is special teams coordinator. Maybe he's taking this as an opportunity to go out there and do these things. But you look at Winnipeg, Kerwin Bell certainly is taking the shots here, paying the price to get his team back in this football game. I mean, he did it last week. He's done it all year. He's done it his whole career. He's a tough football player who's trying to get his football team back in this game.
Bombers really have to have this game if they have any realistic chance of making the playoffs. One quarter may decide their season. Let us send you back to Winnipeg for the final 15 minutes.
72 is playing the line.
Dave Ritchie has never had a losing season, and the pressure is getting to him on the sidelines. He needs to win this game.
This was the conversation he had with the officials at the break. He's riding them hard. He was talking about the designated import. There was some question as to whether or not they put the designated import on the field correctly. Dave Ritchie straightened him up in a hurry.
Another huge play for the Bomber defense to start the fourth quarter. Parker, pump fake. Tyrone Brown was the intended receiver.
John, Harold Nash made the big play to give Winnipeg a chance last week, and Harold Nash may have made another big play here without even touching the football. You see how Tyrone Brown tried to run the wheel route to the outside? Well, Harold Nash was having none of it. He's out there in perfect coverage, forcing the Argos to punt the ball.
Well, here we go one more time. Now, the key to this whole thing has to be to get the ball out of bounds. The last time they didn't get it out of bounds, and Gale had an opportunity to run it.
That's right. But look how
Fontaine lining up.
But look how bunched up they are. It's harder to cover for the Argos.
No return. I hate the play. You know, it's almost like kicking it out of bounds on the opening sequence of a football game. It just takes all the emotion away, and there's no return. Third quarter stats brought to you by Castrol GTX. Drive hard.
Well, the time of possession again favors the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but the scoreboard doesn't. The one thing they have controlled is the turnovers. Only one in this game, and coming in, they were averaging close to 5.
Bombers have their playoff hopes on the line. They trail by 6. First down, Winnipeg. Beginning at the 40. Dylan McCullough, and there's not much there, running into that Toronto triangle again.
Yeah.
Jermaine Haley was there that time, and he's got a partner, Demetrius Maxey, beside him. Number 91, and Michael O'Shea backing him up.
Yeah, here's the Toronto triangle. This is what we're talking about. Here's the triangle right here. See, there's Haley to Maxey, and there is Michael O'Shea in there. That's the triangle. When running backs run into the triangle, they never come out.
Well, most often they don't. McCullough escaped a couple of times earlier, but trying to run against the middle of this Argo defense is not really a good idea. 4 receivers, Winnipeg on second down to the far side. Silent, can't bring it in.
Again, that's the hitting in the first half. The hitting in the first half will translate into a couple of drop passes in the second half.
Short arms there, man.
That's right.
What do you think?
And take a look. We talked about the Toronto triangle. There they are. That's tackles. You got Michael O'Shea. Tackles on the season. They combined for 13 sacks. Demetrius Maxey dominated last week versus the same Winnipeg Blue Bomber team, and then that's tough to run against the middle of that defense.
Not only sacks, but hits by these guys on Kerwin Bell last week. Dave Ritchie counted 13 times his quarterback was nailed. Here's Cameron's kick, and the pit ball awaits. For about 7 or 8, wrapped up by Boyko. 44-yard punt. Bell has to wait patiently. The Argos have the ball. Well, a little explanation on why the Argonauts are lining up in field goal formation. J.P. Darch is injured, and he's the long snapper usually. And then they've also lost Chad Folk, their starting center, who would be the backup and started. So now apparently the adjustment is being made for that reason more than anything else.
Now Michael O'Shea is snapping on that formation. Michael O'Shea is not a long snapper in the punt formation where the punter's 15 yards back. He can get it back 7 yards to the guy holding the tee, which is Jimmy Kemp.
Adrian Smith now moves in at quarterback. As the Argos go to their jumbo offense, Ryan Terry tries to turn the corner. Bombers had it well read, and he has maybe a yard and a half.
Gary Etcheverry is the guy who designed that jumbo offense. And he put
maybe that explains it, because I hate this offense. And he's a defensive guy, right?
Yeah, he's a defensive coordinator. And Gary Etcheverry put a defensive back in at quarterback when he designed the offense. So you know when a defensive coordinator designing the offense,
you got to have
some defensive players.
You got to have somebody from the secondary running it.
That's right.
I mean, the Argos have had some success with this, and I guess it's not all bad, but it really looks a little cumbersome out there.
And when you can turn around and hand the ball to Jermaine Haley like they did on that play, it can really change things up. I mean, Jermaine Haley,
he's a 288-pound running back.
Yeah. Hey, look at him. He loves it. The guys on defense love this. I mean, this is a fun deal for the team. It's not fun to watch all the time.
No.
But when Jermaine Haley thinks that he can get the football, you know, they put Demetrius Maxey back there a couple of times as well. In fact, it's probably a little competition going on between them, because on the season, Maxey has 3 carries for 34 yards and a touchdown from that formation. Haley, that was just his 3rd carry, and he just broke into double figures with it.
So Prefontaine gets ready for another kick. Technically, it's going into the books, we understand, as a field goal no matter where you kick from this formation on the field. But injuries have forced the Argos to make this adjustment. But here's Gale now with a great opportunity on the return. Out to the 50-yard line. The Bombers with 11:21 have a first down. Pretty good field position. Friday Night Football comes your way again next week. Saskatchewan at BC. And lo and behold, the Riders aren't out of the playoffs quite yet either.
BC really has to get their act together. They lost last week to the Calgary Stampeders. Greg Mons ripped the team after the game, and they are not playing their best football when they really have to be. And they want to get on track on Friday night against Saskatchewan, who's going into that game without a general manager.
That's next Friday. This week, they've got the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Far side, they couldn't connect.
Bell slow.
Kerwin Bell got hammered again.
This time it was Maxey from the Toronto Triangle. Here's the hit from Maxey. Maximum hit from Demetrius Maxey. And it took a while for Kerwin Bell to get up, and you know what's going to take even longer for him to get up tomorrow when he tries to get out of bed.
Bombers have 10:51 to go. They trail by 6. 2nd and 10. Bell, one-hopped it for Keroy Simon.
Nigel Williams went down the middle of the field that time, and this time Bell didn't have time to get it to him. Again, an all-out blitz by the Argos. This time, Nigel Williams recognized it, went down the middle of the field, but it was just the pressure from Haley, Maxey, and the boys up front. And they've really got Kerwin Bell frustrated right now.
4th 2 and out this half for the Bombers. So they had some success early against the Argo defense, and right now they're not having very much at all when they need it the most.
You know, one thing they did early in the game that they're not doing now, John, is they moved the pocket around. They got Kerwin Bell sprinting out a little bit. They got him a straight drop back here in the second half.
Cameron sails a punt down to the 10. They try the reverse. Ball comes loose. Bombers have it inside the 5. Trevor Lutke comes up with a loose ball. There's a little something to cheer about in old Winnipeg. It's Adidas Friday Night Football. We'll be back. So you're saying there's a chance?
Well, Harold Nash right at the point of attack, right there, hits Pinball Clements, and that disrupts the handoff to Adrian Smith. Harold Nash, with great hustle, has given the Winnipeg Blue Bombers a chance to go ahead in this game, and they're just trying to quiet down the fans now.
Here's where they are at the 4-yard line. 3 cracks at it from here. Dylan McCullough tries to turn the corner, can't get around.
No way.
The Argos stretched him out.
No way you are going to beat the Argo defense to the outside. They're too quick. They are too fast in pursuit, and Dylan McCullough was run down. You got to hit it hard in the middle on the fly.
He got a yard closer. 2nd down. Goal to go at the 3. 5 plays to determine a football game most nights. This could very well be one of them. Not only this game, but the season. Stumped. Absolutely stumped.
My goodness. That time it was Fred Perry on the action.
McCullough couldn't get there.
They tried the outside, nothing. They tried the inside, nothing. And Richie has sent Troy Westwood on the field, and he's getting booed. Fred Perry makes a play in the middle. They tried it outside on 1st down. They tried it inside. Look at Perry. He is a story in himself. This is a guy that all season has been trying to put on weight. He eats like 5 meals a day. He's added about 10 pounds during the year. He works out twice a day, and he makes a huge play to hold Winnipeg. Now they got to try a field goal.
Perry was the player of the week last week on defense. Here's Westwood. Chip shot from here to get the Bombers 3 points closer. He's got it. It was the only call Richie really had.
No question.
I mean, you still keep yourself with the opportunity to tie or a touchdown. I mean, can win it still.
John,
but in reality, he wasn't going anywhere against that Argonaut defense.
No, you cannot let the fans coach the football team as passionate as they are, and it's a big crowd, over 27,000 in attendance. But Dave Ritchie heard them all say, go for it on 3rd down. He went with the smart play. Kick the field goal. It's now a 3-point game. A field goal ties it for you. It's the biggest crowd of the season for the Bombers, and they were all yelling at Ritchie to gamble on 3rd down.
3-point game. Bombers season hanging in the balance. They need a win. Terry tracked down from behind.
Mo Kelly sacrificed his body. Maurice Kelly sacrificed his body to make this play.
You can't see holding.
He flies in there and creates a pile at the point of attack. Maurice Kelly, watch him fly into the picture from this side. Watch number 24. You see the pulling guards coming around. Look at Maurice Kelly. Watch him sell out. He doesn't care about his body right now. See, he makes a pile right there. That bounces Ryan Terry to the outside. He gets stuck.
2nd and 8. Chance for the interception. Now they say it may go the other way. Gale had his hands on it. Argos are trying to say that they got the ball on the rebound.
Well,
Tyrone Brown ended up with the football.
They're going to talk about it. Rasheed Gale had his hand right there. Tyrone Brown ended up with it. It happened very quickly. They're discussing it right now on the sideline.
Replay will be critical here. Brown is now standing in the end zone, saying he wasn't tackled and he ended up with the ball. I don't know if they got this one right, Glenn.
Well, we're going to have a pretty good look at it for you. Dave Ritchie, obviously angry on the sideline. Here's a look at it. Rasheed Gale goes down for the football. Does the ball touch the ground? Whoa. I don't know if it does. Tyrone Brown had his hand on it now. Here's another look. Now here the ball's going down. second. It hasn't touched yet. Ball's in the air. Tyrone Brown gets his hand under. That's a catch.
I think he might have got the catch. They call it third down, third and less than a yard to go, and the Argos punch it ahead.
You know,
Now, if that's a catch, though,
then Tyrone Brown
could be in the end zone, right?
If that's a catch, Tyrone Brown has a touchdown. You got to look at it one more time. You know, Dave Ritchie's upset, but this is a good call. The ball does not touch the turf. Gale knocks it up. The ball is still in the air. Now, Tyrone Brown has not been touched. He got up and went all the way to the end zone.
He was not tackled. He went down under his own momentum. Anyway, here's an Argo first down. Ryan Terry grabbed from behind. The ball comes loose. Bombers are trying to say, it's our turn for a break. And it's too close to call here. Under that pile of humanity down there.
Man, this is wild. The Bombers are complaining about the fumble, and I believe the ball went down on the ground. Glenn Scrivener was at the bottom of that pile. Ryan Terry hit the ball up in the middle. And they're trying to sort out who has it right now. They're saying Toronto's got it. Dave Ritchie can't get a break. Here comes the play. Ryan Terry right up the middle. Now, Glenn Scrivener is the guy right in the middle that's going to hit Terry. Him and Rogers. See, the ball is out right now. The ball is right there. See on the bottom of the turf? There's the football.
It is a fumble.
That is a clean fumble. Now
the question now of who comes up with it at the bottom of the pile. Benny Goods had a shot at it there. They give it back to the Argonauts. Second down. 9 to go, Toronto. Shotgun. Barker, far side. Call it a catch. Andre Kerwin. So the Argos move the yardsticks again.
And it's slipping away. It's slipping away for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They can feel it. They're playing desperate. They're not getting a break. And it's slipping away on them right now. Under 6 minutes to go in really their season. And the pressure for them right now is incredible. You saw Dave Ritchie look at the clock. He's watching the seconds tick away on his season.
Argos first and 10. Ryan Terry again.
And John, this is the play right here. They have the Argos right now.
Second and long.
Second and 5 or 6.
5 or 6. Yeah.
Okay. This is a key play. If the Argos come up with a first down here, they are in field goal range. That means that Winnipeg will have to score a major to win the football game and convert it. This is a huge play for the Winnipeg defense.
It is second and 5. Argos at the 48. Barker has a man open. He'll get the first down. Terry again.
Tremendous call. A great call by the coaching staff. What a call on the pick play to the outside. See, it's all created with Daryl Mitchell coming in and Terry going out. Linebacker Phil Curry cannot get there. Watch the pick play. See, Curry's got a bubble around the pick, and when he does, it opens it up for Ryan Terry in the flat. He can pick up the first down. A tremendous call in a clutch situation from the Toronto Argonauts.
Now at the 41. And there's an injured Bomber down, so there'll be a time for Barker to give some thought to what he wants to do here. Scrivener, the injured Blue Bomber. Winnipeg down by 3. The Bombers' playoff hopes hanging in the balance. Dave Ritchie is agonizing in the sidelines, no question about it. He hasn't been able to buy a break in the second half, but that's not the only problem with his Blue Bomber team. I mean,
no. But you know, the coaches and the players and everybody involved in the organization, whether you're winning or losing, put so much time and so much effort, and they really put everything they have into the football season. And right now, the Blue Bomber season is coming down to just under 5 minutes of football left. They have to win.
need to win to keep pace with Edmonton, because we anticipate Edmonton will win tomorrow against Saskatchewan at Commonwealth.
And the goal is to get to the big one, and they got to keep pace, like you said. And if you can keep pace, and if Winnipeg can find a way, like you mentioned, to keep pace and get there, get into that playoff race, they got a chance to go to that game.
Yeah, counting down to the Grey Cup. There's the number to call for tickets. I think it's going to be a great week.
I don't know
in Vancouver.
I don't know if Jim Van Horn's going to be too happy that.
I don't think he would be.
I don't think he looks like that, at least not when he's on TV. I mean, it takes a while in makeup, I think, to fix him up from that to what he looks like on TV.
First down, Toronto. Barker from the shotgun. He's done a nice job with this Argonaut offense tonight. Barker wrapped up, and he's down.
Oh,
Joe Fleming got there. Big play, Winnipeg. 3:57 to go.
Great players make big plays when the game is on the line, and Joe Fleming, if he doesn't get home, then that is a completion for Jay Barker over the middle to Daryl Mitchell.
Yeah, and taking it back to the 45 makes that field goal try a little more precarious. Well, second down and 14 to go now.
You see 87 back there at the back of that picture? He was open over the middle, and Barker didn't have time to get it to him.
Second and 14. And they whistle the play down before it got underway.
Well, there was this went around trying to get set up and lined up properly. If this is against
time count violation, Toronto number 7.
Yeah.
Second down repeated.
That's exactly what happened. See, they're moving around trying to get lined up properly, and now, John, it's a 57-yard field goal attempt.
Previous play, it was a bit of a long shot. This makes it a little longer. Although Prefontaine has had some practice kicking those 80-yard attempts.
I don't think so.
Second and 19. Low snap. Here's the heat. Loose ball, perhaps. They're calling it a loose ball. It's a fumble, and Goods has it for Winnipeg. So you're saying there's still a chance?
There's still a chance. I'm not so sure that shouldn't have been ruled an incomplete pass.
Well, we'll watch it again. But I think Barker was in a little trouble there, and I don't think he really had the throwing motion.
Was his arm moving forward before the ball came out of there? Now, I mean, here's the play. See, he's in trouble. He's going down. That ball was stripped before he got it up and make the throwing motion. It was an excellent call by the official, because Goods knocked it out of there, and then he picked up the fumble.
So Benny Goods has given the Bombers a little hope. First down at the 40. Sees it in the balance. Kerwin Bell. Missed. Dylan McCullough. Could have had the happy feet going there.
Yeah, Benny Goods gave him a chance. But now it's up to Kerwin Bell. And what he's got to do more than anything right now, John, is he has got to settle this team down. Benny Goods is the guy a couple weeks back against Montreal who forced the fumble on Anthony Calvillo that gave him a chance. They ended up winning that one. He's come up again for him, but Bell has got to settle him down right now.
3 minutes to go. Kerwin Bell still has an opportunity. Dave Ritchie and the Bombers on the bubble. Second and 10. 2:47 to go. Bombers playoff hopes hang in the balance. They trail by 3. And here's the time count.
Well, the time hasn't expired, but I'm not sure if they haven't blown it in yet.
They dropped the flag.
They called a legal procedure, but
the clock hadn't ticked down. The 20-second clock hadn't ticked down, had it?
Yeah, and they called a legal procedure. They didn't snap the football. So I'm not sure why he called legal procedure. The clock was at 8 seconds. They call legal procedure. You can go offside and get back.
He had a full second to get back.
Unless someone jumped over the line and touched one of the defenders for the Argonauts.
Procedure. Winnipeg, number 62, second down repeated.
So it's against Chris Perez. Not a time count, a procedure. So he moved early, is what they're saying, rather than... Now that makes the field goal a little more precarious. This one is tipped. No chance of the field goal try. Is 5 yards further back than it was a play ago.
Oh boy, and this is putting the pressure now on Troy Westwood to tie this football game. That's a long 5 yards. That 5 yards is like a mile to Troy Westwood right now. And I'm telling you, when he looks up at those goalposts, they look like they're about 2 inches apart.
51-yard field goal. He missed one earlier, but he's rebounded. Cameron will put it down right on the 51-yard line. Westwood for the tie to make it 13-13. There's lots of distance. It's wide. And Pinball will try and take a little time off the clock before he's bunted out of the end zone. However, single point may come back. May come back.
Got it.
Another field goal can win this thing if the Bombers get the ball back in a heck of a hurry.
They can win it. There's still lots of time and lots of football to be played, but you think back to that Chris Perez penalty, and Kerwin Bell had to calm them down, and they weren't calm. The crowd was in it. They were jumping around out there. Perez got a 5-yard penalty. Troy Westwood comes on, and now he has to jump at the ball. That's a long field goal attempt under that much pressure. He jumps at it and pulls it and misses it wide. But there is still time to win the football game, and the Argo offense have lost 2 offensive linemen.
Yeah, the Argonauts have had to make adjustments along the offensive line, so Barker stands in. They got to stop Ryan Terry, and they do after a gain of about a yard.
You know, and Jim Barker right now is trying to be conservative, run the football, and hope he can grind it out and keep the football and run down the clock.
A win is not really very important to the Argos here tonight. They have played a fairly decent football game. The offense has moved the ball.
You know what?
Not badly,
John.
when you look at the overall picture.
You're absolutely right, but when you're playing, a win is important every single time.
I understand what you're saying, but it's of the utmost importance to the Bombers. There was the heat. Not complete. Barker had to unload in a hurry.
See, right now, the Bomber defense is taking advantage of the injuries on the offensive line for the Argos, and that's why they got to feel good about this. They're going to get the football back with over 2 minutes left in the game. You know, Benny Goods has stepped up, made some plays tonight, and given the Bombers that chance.
You put the block on here and go after Prefontaine?
I think no question about it, because you know, right now, you want to do because of this formation there, and if they're in punt formation, I agree with you, you send the pressure. Because Jim Barker has to put this field goal position in now you put a return on because they're so bunched up, they've got to cover the whole field if Prefontaine can't kick the ball out of bounds. See how bunched up they are?
Prefontaine punts it anyway. Here's Eddie Thomas looking for a block. Can't get around the corner. So it's a long way with 1:55 to go for the Bombers. Crunch of the Game is brought to you by CarStar Collision Repair Centers. We do a bang-up job every time. Call 1-800-CARSTAR for your nearest location. Here's the crunch. Twice inside the 5 in the 4th quarter.
Outside, no good for D-Lam McCullough. Inside, no good. D-Lam McCullough.
A double crunch there. 1:55 to go. Bombers down by 2 points, and they begin this drive near the 15. Bell goes to the far side. No catch. Matt DeBuck was the target, and he missed him.
Wayne Shaw broke up in a hurry on Matt DeBuck. It was really a race to get back to the football.
Wasn't particularly well thrown.
was a long throw. It was about a 60-yard throw to get it out to the sideline and about 15 yards down the field. It's slipping away.
2nd and 10. Blue Bombers. Bell needs a first down in the worst way. My gosh, he runs for about 7. But he got hammered again.
Oh, did he ever. Yeah, and you know what? This is where you're watching from ringside, and you just want the guy to sometimes stay down. You know, when you take some hits like that, sometimes you just look out there at ringside and you go, stay down, man. Don't take any more of the punishment. Because Kerwin Bell has been taking a bunch of it again tonight.
Well, on 3rd down and a couple to go, the Bombers decide they'll kick it away and hope for another kind of miracle here.
I like the decision. And
because
you know
they haven't run well against the Argonauts defense, which is the best defense in the league against the run.
Right, and they're going to punt it. And right now, the Argo offense, because of the injuries, have done nothing in the second half.
So Cameron hammers this. Bouncing to pinball at the 40. He's underway, and he gets popped down there as well. Leading the tacklers for the Bombers that time, Spencer McLennan. Game story thus far, it was Tony Burse. 75 yards receiving. That happened a long time ago, first half.
Whoa, the Toronto Triangle. Demetrius Maxey, Jermaine Haley, and Michael O'Shea, 14 tackles and a sack.
Dylan McCullough has closed in on 100 for the game.
And this is all that matters.
Right now.
Right now.
So the Bomber defense looks for another huge play here. 1:22 left in the ball game. Winnipeg trailing by 2. Ryan Terry going nowhere. Henry Newby makes his biggest play of the game.
Oh yeah, and you know who made the play as well? Joe Fleming. Joe Fleming with great pursuit cuts the play off. Newby comes around and scoops up the tackle, but Fleming beats the block inside and gets home. He's in there in a hurry. He's breathing fire again. Look.
Bombers will think this over.
We're getting cut. 5:51. Not 9:61. That shit takes too long. That 9:61 takes too long.
Armstrong wants the ball. He hasn't caught one tonight.
Saying
9:51. I'm going to go 8:51 with 81 back.
Okay, they're talking 9:51, 8:51. Usually that means the steps and the drop, and Armstrong is concerned that the play may take too long to develop, and that Argo defense, as quick as they are, will get to him.
2nd down and 16 to go, Toronto. Ball back at the 38. Burse has it. He got a few back, but he's well short of a first down. So the Argos will give it away now with 1:14 remaining.
John, if you're Dave Ritchie now, you do send the block no matter what the formation is. I'll tell you why, because if Noah Prefontaine is going to catch the direct snap and he's only about 7 yards behind the center, Michael O'Shea, you can get home off the edge if you're in the Winnipeg Blue Bombers rushing. So you put everybody on the line of scrimmage and you say, okay, you're going to snap it 7 yards back and punt it. We're coming after you.
Are they going to punt or place kick? Last time in this formation, they punted. This is wacky stuff. Prefontaine tries to get it to the far sideline. Here's the chance. Rasheed Gale, 47 seconds to go. Marker down back at the line.
He called a penalty off that asshole.
Well, this is going to be...
If this goes against Ritchie, he's going to explode.
Well, because if it does, it's going to be another huge loss of real estate.
Holding. Winnipeg, number 72.
Oh, boy.
First down.
Better be clear cut.
41's a crook. Let's go, guys. Come on.
He's talking about the officiating, and that one cost them...
Well, about at least 30 yards.
Yeah, about 30. About 30 yards.
Actually, 47.
Well, okay. 47 yards of real estate.
Let me correct that again. I'm not reading the printing over here well. 37 yards of pass.
We got it right.
47 on the clock. Here's the play. Oh, my gosh! Bombers win! Just when you said it couldn't happen. With 36 seconds on the clock, have the lead. It may not be the Grey Cup, but when a team has won 12 of its last 51 games in the last 3 years, this is absolutely huge. And the Bombers got a little luck on this one. It was tipped into the hands of Nigel Williams.
In the Blue Bombers locker room, they put a sign up, and the sign says, "You've got to believe." You got to believe, because you never know, if you keep working, what can happen.
Tipped into Nigel Williams' hands, and he was home free.
You got to believe this is what the sign says.
I knew it was coming. Penalties declined. The convert's good.
Unbelievable.
Well, there's still 36 seconds on the clock.
Here we go with the play. Nigel Williams talked on the sideline about 8:51. This is the play. Alondes Bryce is going to go over and try and knock it down. He goes for the interception. And when he does and doesn't come up with the catch, the ball goes high over his head, tipped right to Nigel Williams, and he is off and running. Whatever 9:51 or 8:51 is, it's worked.
Well, definitely the biggest play of the Bombers season. Oh.
You got to believe.
90 yards.
They had 4 players playing hurt, including the loss of Milt Stegall on the sideline. Backs against the wall, behind throughout this entire football game, but they never quit.
27,043 here for this. Argo's last chance. Here's the pinball. Out to about the 27. 30 seconds remain.
I think he dropped the ball. Well, they're saying he's down.
Wacky night of football here in Winnipeg.
And you know what? It's not over yet either.
Last game
as long as
of the
there's
century.
As long as there's time on the clock in the Canadian Football League, the game is not over. They couldn't get a break all game. Kerwin Bell was frustrated all game. Alondes Bryce can't come up with the ball. His guy does. He doesn't see a flag. Unbelievable.
29 seconds to go. Jay Barker. Out of across the 50 to the 55. Brown makes the catch.
20.
Argos need a touchdown to win this thing, though.
Oh, boy.
It's 18 to 13. 23 to go.
You tell me better entertainment for your dog. You tell me.
First down. Out around midfield. Here's the heat. Parker steps up. He has Tony Burst. There's a marker down in the Argonaut backfield. They've spotted something with 11 seconds remaining.
Well, he had a bunch go against him, but Dave Ritchie just got one that may have saved him. And that was holding against Toronto. That play's coming back, because if that play stands...
Holding. Toronto, number 68. First down repeated.
Now the Argos have had to make big-time changes along the offensive line with the injury to Chad Vogt. And Steve Salter is in. That's a loss of 32 yards, and 11 seconds remain in the ballgame.
And really, it was a loss of an opportunity for the Argos to win, because first, put him in position for one play to go to the end zone.
This is a long way to the end zone from here. Parker. Intercepted. Here's Newby. Wouldn't this be fitting if Newby went all the way? Still going. He's down to the 20. Zeros on the clock. The Bombers are alive.
Got to keep hope alive.
So, until tomorrow, the Bombers have a playoff spot. They're in a position to be in the playoffs. The Eskimos have to respond tomorrow with a win over Saskatchewan to get back to even. Bombers improved to 6-11.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Well, Dave Ritchie had a long evening. Some tough calls went against him, but in the end he got one. And he also gets a hug from the losing coach, the Bombers. Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8.
Well, I don't think there's much question what the turning point was in this football game. The long ball to Nigel Williams off the hands of Alondis Bryce. Nigel Williams takes it in for the winning touchdown. That's the turning point. An immaculate reception of their own for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Bombers win by 5 just when it appeared their hopes were all done. Kerwin Bell has a big play, and a cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for the training and development of Canadian coaches in amateur sport on behalf of Super 8. Life's greats at Super 8. Well, Bomber fans haven't had much to cheer about, but there's a little celebration on the turf here at Winnipeg Stadium tonight.
Adidas Friday Night Football is brought to you by Adidas. Long live sport. Castrol GTX. Drive hard. And by Molson Canadian.
Let's hope our next one has as good a finish as that one. Saskatchewan and BC, remember the Lions in a battle with Calgary for first in the West. Do not forget, coming up in a half hour's time, F1 qualifying from Japan. It's the last race of the season. Irvine, Hakkinen in a battle for the driver's title. Up next, The Desk with Rod Smith. All your hockey highlights, plus news on the Grizzlies sale, or is it a no sale? Yes, for the second time in 3 weeks, the Bombers pull off a last-minute miracle, and their playoff hopes alive, at least for one more week. This has been a presentation of TSN, Canada's most watched sports network. The Desk is next.